should have started with that, really. Look how glorious. Isn't it miraculous? Layers and layers and layers. Stamen and stigma. Oh gosh, I can't remember basic biology.
What's that?
Like, what are the parts of...
Oh, God. I don't know.
Oh, this t-shirt that you're wearing, by the way, I should have some history here. This is a vintage, this t-shirt is from a vintage band poster, 1994. The nightclub was Coco's, a very popular and prestigious nightclub in Lautoka in Fiji in the 90s that was owned and run by Danny Ray Costello, a legend of the South Pacific, a musician, and another legendary band, Ken Jansen and the Hearts. So this is a vintage band poster t-shirt that VT679 makes. And, oh, by the way, I guess I should explain that I know all of these people personally because that's me sitting on a stool, not that short, but I'm sitting down wearing a long black lace gown. This is Ken Jansen, legend of the South Pacific, legendary musicians. So this is, yeah, just some da-da-da.
It's a bit faded, but
That's cool. It's a vintage band poster.
I wear it all the time.
There's a slight, because the name is not spelled correctly, but
Yeah. I mean, kind of adds to it.
yeah, it does. Anyway, so if anyone's interested, because everyone likes a vintage band, poster T-shirt, but there's lots and lots of vintage bands or bands from around the world that you don't know of, and how how cool would you be if you're going around wearing this T-shirt and was like, who's that? Oh, a legendary band from the 90s in Fiji, with performers who performed all over the world, and one of them in particular is really, really fabulous. La 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 la. So, my darling, what are we talking about today? Oh, lots of things to talk about. What I had said, I was going to actually say something on my stories on Instagram, because
You say that like we got a script.
I know.
What are we going to talk about today? I don't know.
Well, I don't know, but I have written down
Yeah.
topics that I think are of interest, or at least helps me structure my whatever the flow it is, whatever flow is happening today. And I was going to actually go onto Instagram and say, hello, I'm here, but Instagram doesn't like me at the moment. Well, or maybe they're just scared. I don't know. But I don't have a huge account following, I have a very small account following on Instagram. That's fine, because I've never hustled for account followers. And of course, in these times, you stand up for humanity, you stand up for what's right, and you will lose people, because people are so brainwashed into believing that whatever the constructs are set in stone. They seem to think that these rules and of the constructs of society are all set in stone, or they're just, there's invisible, you can't cross that barrier type thing.
Well, you just said rules of society, right? So those are the rules in the society we live in.
Okay, let me rephrase that. There's rules are necessary in order for everyone to live in harmony. It's not so much rules, guidance, don't be a shithead. Yeah, don't be a dick. But there's these other rules that say you have to be a certain way in order to prove your worth. That you've got to do this, do that, do this. You've got to get the job. You've got to get the mortgage. You've got to have the children. You've got to do all of these things, and then you're a successful person of society. Wow. And
I mean, that's part of the prerequisite for being president of the United States. Family, religion, all that stuff. Tick the boxes, you're in. Male,
yeah.
over 70.
Yeah. Wow. Holy cow.
White.
Or half white. And very sadly, unfortunately, pro-genociders. Anyway, but that's just the state of America way, because They created that. Their 53rd state in the Middle East.
So if you're going to talk about those, that's the type of rules you're talking about, right? So tick the boxes and you're in.
But then the average person, member of society, has to follow those rules too in order to be seen as successful. It's a bit of because I'm always conscious of privilege. I'm always conscious of how some things, well, it's easy. It's like when rich people say money doesn't buy you happiness. Oh, please. And when they say it, they don't say it to each other. They say it to people who don't have money. Like, don't want money. Money but doesn't buy you happiness. Really? Money buys you freedom. And that's what freedom is. Very expensive on this planet now. Freedom is what people chose to take away from everyone else. Because we were created with free will. And when I say created, I'm not talking about the spiritual side of things, which regular viewers know spirituality is very much part of me and us. We're born with spirituality, but we are created by the elements are spirituality. But anyway, speaking of create, I had said yesterday on Instagram, which, as I hadn't finished telling that story, any comment I make on Instagram anywhere, and no, I don't make silly comments, I just point out some things because I have decided I have to, unfortunately, enter the fray. We are in different life cycle of generations. As a Gen Xer, I get really frustrated with older people and my generation people, etc., thinking that this generation has to adapt to us. No, we have all got to live together and we have to adapt to them. Those of us who are on this side we've got to adapt to the generation that we've indirectly or directly created. Rules of society. So, rules of society, one of them is to have children. People are crazily brainwashed into this. Now, yesterday I was talking about all these billionaires, billionairing, etc., etc. And there are lots of people who think that's okay. And they think that people like me, they call us Marxists and socialists, and that we're envious of the rich. And it's really funny because I grew up rich and I continue to lead a very privileged life, if not materially, because to me, wealth isn't just financial. Financial wealth is what gives you that freedom that I say has now come at a price. Freedom is no longer free. Freedom comes at a price. Freedom is the most valuable thing we can have. Freedom gives you choice. Choice gives you opportunities. Freedom is a privilege. And there's this very annoying noise in the background, and I'm really sorry about that. There's this...
Yeah, they're trimming trees down the street, and then they've got the tram lines going, steamrollers, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. What's happening?
Oh, gosh. It's human endeavor. They call this progress. Constant noise pollution. I suppose it's got to happen, right? Because, I don't know, that's life. We've got to maintain, and that's fine, maintenance, etc. Anyway, so I was talking about these billionaires, etc. yesterday, and I'm getting harassed by this person who is just an angry young male who, well, wasn't born with all the things that fit the narrative of the society that, that likes to reward a percentage of people. But he really believes that billionaires have a right to exist, and therefore people who believe that billionaires are a natural thing and because they got there through hard work, that's hilarious to me. Billionaires through hard work, yeah, no. Because in this day and age, you have these, cyber people, like our site Canva, made by these young Australians who were really working at it for 10 years. And what they did, I don't agree with any of it, because what they did is rob people of opportunities by giving non-creative people tools of the creative, they have effectively contributed to the demise of art. Anyway, so children are part of that construct of society. You've got to have children. And other people are like, well, yeah, how is the world going to go on? Well, you mean the capitalist structures? Just going to go back to that billionaires thing. So they like a couple of people pointed out to me, well, what are you doing on this platform, etc., etc. No, it's a point. There's a point. How do you address that? Because this is how the billionaires have corralled us all into their moneymakers. I mean, we have no choice. If we have a message, if we want to showcase our talent, if we want to just, then we have to be on these platforms. Not all of them. I'm not on all of them. I'm not on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter, but Twitter is the platform for people who really, really want to be noticed. Everybody wants their, how many letters, I don't know, 140 letters of fame, to paraphrase Andy Warhol's famous quote about 15 minutes of fame. So Twitter is very much that. Anyway, but yeah, there's a lot of intelligence on Twitter as well. I'm not sure if the current owner of Twitter is one of them, but this is what happens when people just buy their own hype. Gosh. But these platforms are all controlled by these, well, billionaires might as well be another term for controller. There's not a few, there's quite a few billionaires, and they control all of this. And if you start thinking too much into any of it, my darling is making, what are you making today, sweetheart?
Cookies.
What kind of cookies?
Ginger cookies.
Yeah. Ginger cookies. It's when you start thinking if you start thinking more and more about it, it's quite like, oh my gosh. And it's the billionaires who are finding ways to escape the planet. So they're going to leave this planet to shit, mine it. By the way, that these people defending that billionaire in India who's wedding Rihanna, the billionaire's youngest son's wedding. Gosh, they may be billionaires, but yeah, money does not buy you. Well, money apparently buys people an idea of looks, but I guarantee. And of course, the boy's got a gorgeous young wife. She looks or whatever, and he's just a walking pear. Am I fat shaming? I'm sorry, but I find it really crazy that the woman has to be beautiful, but the guy is lucky, and don't make fun of him. And okay, cool. I'm not that I'd have had done that, but I'm seeing all the comments, etc. So the Ambanis, yeah, they've got a whole heap of things. They didn't become billionaires just by toiling the land themselves, all right? By the way, what is the major form of money that made them billionaires? Petrochemicals. Raping the earth. You don't become a billionaire unless you really, really, really are able to mine this earth and sell it like it's yours, instead of the fact that we are of the earth. Anyway, gosh, where do I go? Where's my humor? Where's my wit? I become so serious nowadays. Because the world, people who are finding the time to, earn $10 million to go and sing badly at a billionaire's son's wedding, ostentatious crap, they're all finding such joy in the world, and you've got to find joy. I mean, I've seen people in the Middle East besieged by bombs and genociders, and tanks run over them, and when they're just standing there getting some food aid. Oh, by the way, we were all used to the malnutrition children in Ethiopia, which once used to be the richest country in the world. What have we just also recently looked up about Ethiopia? Because something about where did something come from? Anyway, we'll get back to you.
Can't even remember.
So, rich people are having children to keep their money in the family. People who aren't rich are having children for what? I see it as just adding to the capitalist structure. Now, so many people are going to get offended at this because it's like, how dare you, how dare you say that? I want to have children for my own reasons. Yeah, but examine why. And why does this innate thing that all of us feel, I'm in my 50s and in my late 30s, my biological fertility clock absolutely rattled my body. I was just being squeezed, everything. And mind you, let me explain. At this stage, I was the mother of 5 children. I have never given birth. But for over 2 decades, I brought up 5 children from babyhood, childhood, teenhood to adulthood. Their mother is very alive and well, thank you. Fertile, obviously, but quite cold and not at all maternal. She couldn't wait till they were 18 so that they could go, drinking together. She's of a privileged, class. But these people have children. I don't know. I guess she had children for her ex-husband, who is a natural parent, but very, anyway, needy. Anyway, so I do understand the maternal bond before anyone goes, how dare you say such things? You've just been there. I am really, really glad I didn't have children, darling. I'm really, really happy about that. And for me, my legacy, my immortality is in my words and in what I do. And if when we depart this planet, I will be happy knowing that I didn't rob it of its right to. Oh God, that sounds so crap. I have done things. We've all done things. Our mere existence sometimes robs the planet of way too much oxygen. Oxygen is very valuable for us. Anyway. Yeah, we mentioned the other day that there's a lack of carbon dioxide in Australia.
There goes the sodas.
There goes what?
Soda.
Yeah. There's hardly any soda water and all that, anything that needs to be carbonated. Children. Have you ever wanted to have children, Doug?
No.
Neither have I. I've never wanted to have children, and that decision I made in my teens. I should also say that my mother is God to me. My mother is divinity. My mother, her love is what love is. But she was far too selfless. And her selflessness made me selfish, I feel, in a good way. So the decisions I made were worked for me. And it was because of my mother's selfless love for me. Anyway, so children, I have never wanted to have children. I understand why people, because I love children. Not all children. Some children think, I know the kind of adult you're going to be. And having seen children from babyhood, childhood, to adults, I have this theory, and it's proving right because I have talked about this to many people, that who you are as a child is who you will eventually be as an adult. It's not hard and fast because I also feel that, but there's a lot of people who determine who they're going to be based on who they are as a teen and in their 20s. And that's where the mental fracture comes in. Because your teens and 20s are a time for you to test your boundaries, explore who you are, push the boundaries. And this is when people come down hardest. Teens are really, really, really squeezed tight at this time when they're growing between child and adulthood, physically and mentally. So physically, all these rules are put upon teens. and mentally as well, and then also subconsciously, even by making it so rigid, like no, don't go and do drinking, partying, whatever, blah blah blah. In a life form that is going from childhood to adulthood, in that period, in the teens, when you're being told not to do something, the curious mind is going, why? And it rebels against it. So the more, say the teen is told, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do anything, the more that growth needs to know why.
Natural curiosity.
The natural curiosity, because the child is now becoming, so the body is going, what's going on? Thank goodness for the man-made construct of time, where we can go, oh, okay, so 5 years ago I was 5 and now I'm 10, and otherwise it'd be like, how did I get, what? Without the measurement of time, really, we wouldn't know how to count our the duration of our lives or anything. Existence. So, and then, okay, so by being so rigid about that, we're really also destroying young people by, I'm not young people do this, but I'm saying it is generally accepted that young people and 20s are all going to party, yeah! Alcohol, yeah! Oh, God. Alcohol, a poison, a legal poison for minds, for brains, literally, that do not stop growing until they're 25. Anyway. So children, what a huge responsibility human beings have been given, to, and all life forms have been given. What a wonderful responsibility. It's the ability to have children was for us to go, oof, I have a responsibility to bring out more human beings. Both, or binary, both. Even non-binary people have that binary capacity. It's the vessels that don't match the identity, but energy is binary. Energy is binary. So even non-binary people. And that responsibility of bringing forth more life forms. But people don't think of it that way. It's just like, oh, I really want a child. Why? Why? Most people don't understand why they want to have children. People who have been adopted desperately want children of their own. I've seen it in a few cases because they feel unwanted by the people who created them. Also, this whole religion comes into this as well, because by taking away the understanding that we are the creators of our existence, literally, they had to scrape divinity out of us. They had to take away the gods within us, the God within us. So children, you've always found it fascinating that they've come from the other side. Like, where have they come from?
Yeah.
Like, where the hell? Oh, we all know where babies come from. But the fact that they happen is insane. The fact that
like, what do they know?
Yeah.
They sometimes babies have this really
knowing look
on their face.
But also there's traumatized people are bringing forth more traumatized people. These babies, these human beings, they're not babies, they're human beings, have been created inside the DNA from other people, from other DNA, the two people's DNA, binary DNA, the whole creation is insane. So I worship women who've given birth, who carry pregnancy. I don't worship them, but I just think, oh, woman, you are God. I've never wanted to be pregnant. It's something I find personally repulsive. But that doesn't mean I don't think it's quite an incredible, glorious thing that women go through. And really, frankly, when women are pregnant, they really should not be doing anything else. But society and the world and independence and feminism, etc., has made women think, well, I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, kind of thing. So even when I'm pregnant, I am not weak. And so women, you know, because women can... Women have to function like normal when the walls of our uterus, which by the way isn't as you think it looks. It's actually, do you know what like the fallopian tubes and all of that looks like, right? That's just a drawing. That doesn't actually look like that in our bodies. Sure, yeah. You know, fallopian, it's like this beautiful tree of life thing happening, which, you know, people don't understand that either. Because it is that. But it's actually all more, it's not as pretty as the drawings make out. So this is why people don't, everything is closer together. So endometriosis and period cramps and periods full stop are a very painful process for a woman. And women, now at least people are hopefully understanding more and more about it, but women and girls have always had to suck it up, you know? Suck it up. Just a part of life. You're a woman now. It's like, oh, great. So woman means pain? Yay. But the walls are like falling, you know, like, it's yeah. Oh my gosh. But the spark, it's an ignition. It is a spark. What happens when the egg takes in the sperm that is going to fertilize that egg. It's the egg's choice. The egg sends out frequencies for the sperm that has come in through the canal, through the cervix. By the way, cervix is just, you have the neck cervix and the vaginal cervix. And if you haven't seen what the inside of a cervix looks like, it's very intriguing. The cervix is, wow. What a fascinating thing it is. It opens up to bring out another human being. Look, I'm sorry. I can't believe what women do. It's incredible. The whole body's ripped apart. It's like how land is created. Volcanoes, you know, tectonic plates ripping apart, and eruptions, and the earth ripping apart to bring forth more land. And that's how this planet was created. And that's what happens to women. And of course, cesareans now exist. Cesareans named after one of the Caesars. I don't know which one. It's, you know, cutting open, and it's still a major operation that women have to go through. Whoa! Crazy. Anyway, I have never wanted to be pregnant, but that doesn't mean I think it is just one of the most incredible thing, because that is what brings forth more humans, which are either going to save or destroy the world. And so far, the latter is seeming to win. So this is why I say women need to close their wombs. Unless you are certain that what you want to bring forth into the world is going to be the product of unity within yourself and with the person you are creating that with. But traumatized people are masking their trauma and bringing forth more traumatized people. It's I don't understand why people can't unpack why they desperately need to have children. I know what that feels like. I felt it. It rattled my body, as I said. It's like, oh, no, because I didn't want to have children. I had, as I said, I had inherited 5 children. I wasn't going to have a child of my own flesh, not just because pregnancy is just not for me, but also because I was given the gift of children, 5 of them. Then I'm going to love them, without ulterior motive, without needing to, because I do see that a lot of people who are with, because it's, second marriages, third marriages abound, everybody, and they have children. And so there's lots of mixed families, I don't know what it's called, but so a lot of, I do know that especially when a younger woman marries an older man, the older man wants to have a child with the younger woman to prove his virility. and the younger woman wants to have. I say this because this is the dynamic. Okay, this is what happens. I am one of the anomalies. I was with an older male, my ex-partner, who had 5 children, and I had no wish to have one of my flesh, one of my body. This, just no thanks. And I'm really glad about that. And of course, it suited everyone's purpose for me not to, because then all my maternal love and all my time went into bringing up these children. Yeah. So it's just, no, but oh my gosh. And I did get really upset about this, where I thought, I have given up my right to have children, because your mind starts playing tricks with you, darling, with me, with a woman's body. It's all of a sudden like, oh my God, I must have a child. I want to pour my love into a child. And then I start thinking of, you
start thinking it's your purpose.
Yeah, you start thinking it's not, that's what you're built for. And that, and then I start thinking of, but I was so loved by my mother. I want to pour my love into a child as well. I'm thinking, but I love my stepchildren as much, my ex-stepchildren, I loved them. I love them. I feel the bond is incredibly strong. You've seen it. You know it. The maternal love, parental love has got nothing to do with flesh and DNA. Why? Because their biological mother couldn't give a shit about them. She was too busy playing tennis and lunching with the ladies. And their father, well, he just wanted children to have ready-made people to love him. The people have children for weird reasons. They want to punish their parents. They want to make up for what they lacked from their parents, so they have children thinking that they're going to then make up for what they didn't get. And that's vicarious living. So you have parents who make their children do every single thing in the book. Ballet, piano, da-da-da, 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 whatever. And that's a lovely thing to do. If you can, then by all means, give your child the freedom, particularly if you are, brown or black, or Asian origin, and you move to the constructs, just to put your own rules on them in the alien land. I know some people who don't, who have allowed their children to embrace the culture of the ancestors, not allowed, but made sure that children embrace the culture of the ancestors. So the languages are kept, the traditions are kept, but also, so let's just say Indian, and I say Indian because I'm Indo-Fijian. Indian, you identify as Indo-Fijian, don't you?
Yes.
Or do you?
Yes.
It's hard because you're triracial.
Well,
you can't identify.
I've realized it's all about how you look.
That's true. Ask half white black people. Ask white passing black people and brown people, First Nations people. White passing First Nations people, it has to be said, get picked first by the constructs, by the Euro constructs.
So it's just an assumption I made. So everyone talks to me in Hindi anyway. So I assume, okay, I look Indian. Fijian.
Well, you don't.
So that's how I identify myself.
It's interesting. Yeah, okay. Great. But I don't think that that's a way to identify. It's weird. I mean, oh gosh. I mean, do black-looking, half-white black people, how do they're forced to identify with what they look like, because the world will not, okay, Barack Obama, Halle Berry, George Gregan, people. They have full white parents. Zendaya, full white parents, but they look black.
Well,
does that mean that they don't, it must be anyway, we've gone off from somewhere else. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, I can't It's different. I don't know. I don't know how.
You're also part Chinese.
That's right.
You're also part Kaiviti, First Nations Fijian.
Yeah.
So, but you can't identify as all of them. And yet I laughed with you the other day about your half-white cousin who
Is
accepted as Fijian,
Yeah.
Kaiviti,
But-
because she's half-white.
And yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like I used to say I'm from Fiji, and people just laugh at me. You know, like where you from? I'm from Fiji. Fijian.
Because of the assumption of what a
Because I
Fijian
don't-
looks like.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. So I had to change the way I thought of myself. Well, not really thought of myself. Just like, you know, okay, I'm not Fijian. Well, I mustn't be. Of course I'm not.
Well,
I look Fijian.
you are someone who doesn't need markers. People do like identity. I like identity markers. I like I'm very specific that I'm Indo-Fijian.
So it was never important to me to tell people where I was from because you know it didn't matter after a while. So
People just make their own assumptions
Yeah.
and do what. Yeah, it's very strange. Anyway, going back to the children thing. But just off and for me, this cousin of yours is half white and very privileged, right, materially, and chooses to go and be part of her culture, and people think that's so lovely. Would they allow you to immerse yourself in Fiji? Unfortunately, when the white person like that guy who has done the white scholar who basically became Fijian and everything except looks, and pasty white, would walk around barefoot and in a Zulus trying so hard. Paula Ngarati. It's like Paul Garrity, mate. Look, it's lovely, but they absolutely accepted that. It's like the CEO of Tourism Fiji will call himself a chief in the Kaiviti language, the main language, and calls his partner Andy, which is the female chief. If Indo-Fijians ever did that, would be like, even if they were fourth generation. Oh my lord.
yeah, but I'm not gonna complain about that. That's just the way it is. So I'm not.
You're not going to complain about it, and I'm not complaining about it because
that's
I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy of this.
Yeah. That's just the way it is.
You know,
And
the colonizers are still allowed to colonize.
Master. Master.
I think a lot more people are really refusing to, but they know that that's just the way.
Yep.
That's just the way, so you can't do it. And this is what I'm saying about the constructs of society. These walls, these invisible walls, these rigid. What is the word I'm looking for? We're all in these. We're all being corralled. We're all in these. Like, have you ever seen cattle being corralled and sheep? They have to go through before they get into the main area in the stockyard. They've got to go through these little.
Yeah.
What am I saying? So that's how it feels like, that everyone stay in your lane. It's I don't believe in the staying in your lane thing, but I also see how people with ego not staying in their lanes and refusing have damaged it for everyone else, because people who don't want to stay in their lanes because they want the attention make sure they gatekeep it. They don't want others like them, and they certainly will make sure that people of merit don't get through. So the people without merit who get through via, all about what. Why do you need to have children? Is a question you need to ask yourself. As I said earlier, there are people who were adopted, who really want to have children. People who lack males who lacked maternal love, really, I don't know. And women who also, who were born to parents who are only people. What was that thing you read the other day? About this guy. I gotta admit, I haven't slandered Twitter, but Twitter is full of a wealth of sayings, or just not memes. This guy saying he was 5 when his father was 24, and now it's like you
He's
realize,
24.
yeah,
He's 24 now, and he's thinking, I should have just told him to shut the fuck up.
yeah.
You know?
All these children are having children. The brain doesn't stop developing until about 25, and all these young people are having children. Of course, they're going to bring out more stupid people. Dwayne also has this wonderful theory about genetic memory, and that the older a parent is, the more they have to give to the DNA of the child coming out of the woman's body.
I mean, if you're going to believe in genetic memory and all that,
Intergenerational trauma.
You have to believe that, the amount of knowledge you gain is passed down. So if you have a child at 20, you're passing down a 20-year-old's experience, which is what? Everyone knows 20-year-olds. The energy is different.
All these women that were models with me, so many of them had children at 19, 20, 21, 22, while they were still partying and had no idea, and
my sister had children later, late 30s. I think.
No.
Or 30s.
Late 20s, late 20s, darling. Early 30s.
Right, early 30s.
Yeah.
2011.
And you can see the difference in the children,
Yeah,
right?
so, sorry, that was good.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, what? I'm older than her.
Yeah.
But you can see the difference in the children. And the youngest, my youngest ex-stepson was just, delightful. What a wonderful.
And if your theory is right, I've seen it, that they will become who they were as children. So, that hope is there.
Children are beautiful. Yeah. That's why children need to be protected, and they need to be protected from before conception. And unfortunately, this is where all that the debates about abortion come in. No. The abortion is no one else's right except a woman's. And unfortunately, I do have a thing there, though. Once abortion becomes birth control in privileged societies, because I know my ex-stepdaughter has a cousin who had 4 abortions. After 2, that's when I'm like, no, sorry. And I'm talking about privileged societies, because there's many parts of this world where it's archaic, it's ancient, I don't know what's going on. And women don't have control of their bodies. Oh, sorry, that's right. Archaic state of America. Women don't have control of their bodies. Yeah. But when a child is not wanted, and when a child is not of love, that child should not be brought into the world. Nope. And I don't care. There are women who have children because they feel it's a sin. Why? Well, who told you? Who told you that? And so they bring forth a child they don't want, and you think that child doesn't know that in their DNA? A child is born with empty silos of all, with no expectation except for... A child is not born with love. A child is born just empty of all that, and it is whatever is around the child that fills that child's silos of that feeling. Love, hate, fear, bravery, whatever. I don't know what feelings are. I really do believe you need to have psychological tests about why you want to have children. I find it so irresponsible to have children, especially now in this world. And the richer you are, apparently, the more children you can have. Because, well, for starters, children are expensive. Human beings are expensive.
Life is expensive.
Life is expensive, and it's getting more and more expensive. And this is why people think billionaires are okay, when they're actually the ones who have made it expensive. We're the ones who are buying their things. How do you think they became billionaires? They convinced us. And so there's these sycophants and billionaire apologizers who say, it's their hard work. They can, oh my Lord. Millionaires, yeah, go for it. I think that they could be you know, the average, like when, let's just say, what did I say about the 150th golf player is still a multimillionaire?
Yeah. 150th rank.
Yes. Or some ridiculous thing. I don't know. It's crazy. And it's very much a white sport, you know. Apparently, the saying is that golf stands for gentlemen only, ladies, something, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know. But people, all these children in the world, and what are they going to do for the world? What are they going to do for the world? And there's lots of angry people who will be like, you don't have a right to police, all these people policing our bodies. Yeah. You should be policing your body. You should be policing your mind. Policing should be abolished, full stop. I get it, but that's only because the police as we know it, that is a result of the royal guard. Policing was invented in the state of America from the tradition of guards to keep the royals safe. That, oh gosh, I'm losing words today. That blueprint was always about keeping the elite protected. Why? You know, I know lots of police people who are good, kind people who get into this thinking that they are there to protect the people. Except people are getting worse. And police really shouldn't be instilling fear in all of us, except that's what happens. And anyway, but even people get duped into thinking that all of these things are about the people when they're not about the people. Governments that are supposed to be voices of the people are not about the people. That we're rioting and rebelling against government? People that the people elected to be there as representatives of our voices, needs and wants? Or the way, or to make sure that society is beneficial to everybody and they war with each other. It's disgraceful to see. And in you know, places where they're supposed to be the voices of the people, they're fighting about genocide and what is right. Like, you know, we can't, you know, make a say, oh my God. Children born of love and, you know, go forth with the intention to love. So I'm not saying, what am I saying? I don't know, because I feel like, well, I know lots of incredible women who've given birth quite a lot, and I just, you know, if we were all truthful, then we could examine the reasons why. And as I said, you know, there's not always, anyway. But children are seen as wealth. Now, whose wealth? Future wealth, present wealth. Well, that's the thing. Present wealth and future wealth. So the rich people are having their present wealth because that's are the only ones who can really afford to. The poorer people have children hoping that that's going to be their future wealth. So when they, you know, slave and grind away at making sure their children have everything. Why have the children? Why don't you slave away at making your life better?
Yeah, wow, that sounds nice.
If you're going to slave, don't slave for your future so that when your life has ebbed and you say, oh, well, that's it, your children are fine. Why have the children? Of course, in Australia, lots and lots of people have children because they get benefits. So around us, we wonder, how are you? You don't work, you don't do anything, you go on cruises, you have your aircon on all the time, and because of, you know, carer benefits and so on. Okay. Cool, you know. There's lots of really dodgy people who have walkers at certain times and then...
But does it make sense to just replace yourself?
Okay, but it would only make sense if the person that was being replaced had done good things for the world.
That's right, yeah.
And so yes, children are only supposed to be a replacement for self. And if you were someone who was then, this is what I'm saying, the why do you want to have children? Do you want to make up for the mistakes you made? Or are you replacing yourself because you have proven worthy of the gift of life?
Yeah, but that's right, because people are making freaking assholes. Sorry.
Well, all these rich people, they're not bringing out children who are wanting to give back to the world. They're bringing out rich children who are saying, oh, how can we still keep the wealth? And do a charity thing here, charitable thing there, philanthropic thing here, and what? It's like these poonwallahs, you know. You can say all you want that you're doing so much for everything, but mate, no. I'm naming names. Someone's got to. There are way too many people filleting the egos of the people in control. It's like, I don't know. I'm never ever going to be important enough to make a difference, but maybe one person here is this who can. You know, do we like you said to me? You asked me, do you think you're going to change something? Do you think you're going to change the mindset? And at first, naively, I thought we could, because, well, hello. I mean, our life cycle. You know, we have all these people who. Prophets, you know, changed things on the basis of one person saying they hear the voice of God. Now, I mean, if I say it, well, yeah, I hear the voice of God. Sounds awfully like me.
Yeah.
Because that's where God is, inside you. We are all God, and unfortunately the people who realize that exploit it, when that is supposed to give us ultimate humility, because we are here for each other, to bestow upon each other the wealth of goodness of life. To why are we all struggling? And of course there are people who think that the child, you know, I'm going back to the children thing, that is unconditional love. So many people say to me that the love of a child is unconditional. No, that it's not. No, it's not. A child demands things. A child's love is conditional on what you give the child. A child teething is crying and demands your patience. It's conditional. And I think the unconditional love, what is unconditional love? Unconditional love is a fallacy. Unconditional love should only exist between a couple, regardless of gender or whatever. It's really between a couple. That's where harmony is found before the child is created. You and I, well, we're older. I do wonder if we were younger and we had found each other and, I mean, grown together, would we have had children? I do wonder. But I'm selfish.
But I've never wanted to have. I've never had the urge to have a child.
We had a little bit. We talked about how lovely it would have been to have.
How a child would be, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But why can't we then just be that you know, we were, and the things we create, right?
Yes.
So I feel that we've been lucky. Mm-hmm. And some people say, oh, but you'll have nothing after you leave. So what, you think you're going to be remembered 100 years from now? I mean, do you know the details of your great grandparents? Do you care? In this digital world, do you think anything, mementos will be left over? All these things, vintage things I've had, things that I've bought 30, 35 years ago, the things that we have that are 50, 60, 70 years old. Do you think that after this time, who's going to keep this? You know, we pass on our things to our children who like, well, what? Photo albums. What? It's, my legacy is, that's ego to me. I don't want, you know, to leave children behind. For what? You can't control what they're going to do. I really feel it starts from here. About if you want to have a child, first of all, you've got to find harmony within yourself. And way too many people think that having a child is going to make that happen. You know, so many people, like, it kickstarts this, particularly in males, it kickstarts some sense of responsibility. And I think that also, I don't know, it's a terrible trap, because it still gets taken out on the children, the stress of the responsibility of bringing up children.
Yeah, sure.
People have that, it's this innate, it's a biological urge to procreate, because this is what our bodies are. We are supposed to replace, because otherwise we'd live forever, right? Or we wouldn't wind down or decline. We wouldn't age and decline. It is about replacing yourself. So therefore we should have only had 2 people to replace. And then there are, of course, people who desperately want children, who can't have children. Perhaps nature is telling you something. And then there are wonderful people who adopt other people, children. Some parents do it out of, they don't have to, they do it out of choice. Some parents want to just be a parent so much, they will adopt children. They're making adoption harder and harder and harder. Because why? Why have they made adoption so hard? It's an interesting thing. I don't quite know that, because it was, but also what was happening was that white people were bringing up brown and black children and not understanding a brown and black child's needs. Or Asian children are being adopted by Euro people, and you see then that they become Europe, you know. I don't know. I don't have answers, and I'm not. Yeah, I do actually, but I do have answers. I do. But again, free will, right? So I'm not saying to you not to have children. I'm saying examine the reason why you want to have children. And if it's just a biological urge, that's not good enough. Not anymore. Not in an already overpopulated world. And sure, we may have land, and you know, the earth is always going to replenish herself and the resources, but not in our life cycle. So we're going to deplete it, and Earth's life cycle, her 10,000 years is, you know, our 10,000 years is an hour to her, kind of thing.
Well, if we travel around the sun, and that's 1 year, then the Earth travels around the galaxy, that's her 1 year, right?
Yes, the cosmic orbit, right?
And we calculated she's about 20 years old.
Yes.
So she's quite young.
Yes.
So one cosmic orbit is 1 year for the Earth. Technically,
yes.
Right? So because we orbit the sun once, that's 1 year for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's 200 million years.
You think
for her is 1 year.
You think the Earth had us too young?
Well, no. Everything happens at the right time, right? Exactly when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Oof. I don't know. Well, life will always find a way, but this is why we have to be more responsible with it. Sorry, I don't want.
We had children. We're just the.
We are Earth's children. The Earth gave birth to us.
Sure. Okay.
Because the waters opened.
But what about every other living being? What are they?
Sure, children of the Earth.
All right. Okay. Cool.
We are all children of the Earth.
All right.
We're just a species that was then chosen by whatever DNA destiny to be the custodians, and so not controllers, not owners, not rulers. We are not better than the animals. We're supposed to be side by side with the animals. The animals are probably looking at us like, poor inferior DNA. They had to be the ones who were the janitors of the Earth. Because, you know, the maintenance people, the people who then we have to make sure the world is a lovely, clean, well-maintained, healthy place for everybody.
What a lovely responsibility.
What a wonderful responsibility. And huge responsibility. Because, you know, I know that in the societal structure, janitors and maintenance people are looked down upon, but hang on, wait a moment. These people are responsible for keeping everything orderly and clean. And they're treated like the lowest. Crazy. What a world. Anyway, look, it's time for us to wind down. I'm not saying, and I realize this sounds like, well, people will be offended because, well, that's what people do. People just get offended when asked to examine the reasons why they choose to do things. People don't want to be asked, why do you do this? Or because I'm meant to, because it's it's my right. What? Women especially need to really reconsider this, because as I said in yesterday's live, we are perpetuating our own destruction. We're giving birth to more of these people. And sorry, but no. Don't close your legs. Close your wombs. Open your minds. Open your mouths and ask yourself out loud, why? Why do you need to have children? For those of you who've had children, well, there's so many women who refuse to acknowledge that they wouldn't, if they could, they would not have children. So many women, I know there's one right now, and I asked, do you like being a mother? And then she said yes, except then, because yes, it does take a village to bring up a child, because a child is a huge responsibility, and it is a celebration to have a child. But then don't have the children and then expect the village to be there because you realize that you don't actually want the responsibility of being a mother. And it is terrible, because this friend in particular, which I don't consider her a friend really, she's an acquaintance. I see this friend in particular has, unfortunately, 3, I don't know what the term is, mentally, I don't know. And that is, to me, it sounds like I'm blaming here. You can't undo what is done. But if you can make a choice, because fractured people, fragmented people, traumatized people are bringing more traumatized people into this world, and this world is never going to heal, and the earth is going to... But anyway, that's us for today. And it must be time for the Daily Egg for Tuesday, March. Where was I going with January? March the 5th, 2024. And speaking of children and all that, the egg. Ta-da! What a miracle of life that is. By the way, eggs are vegan. They're not actually,
Cool.
They're not actually considered a meat product.
Sure.
It's still an egg.
Right, yeah. Some meat, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. If you're offended, look, I can't help that, but then you must ask yourself why. If you're offended, if you're pissed off, if you're really angry at what I'm saying, before you attack anyone else, confront yourself. Ask yourself why. Thanks for being here. Bye.